popping.
Bar is popping.
Friday night at the DNVR bar. Rivalry night, absolutely. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the pregame show. Presented by Miller Lite. What time is it? It's Miller time, boys. Friday night, definitely Miller time. I guess a Miller Lite or two will probably be consumed tonight at the bar. That's my hunch. We're also in the Toyota Lounge driven by your Front Range Toyota stores. Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. Big matchup, measuring stick game number 2. First one didn't go so well, but a chance here tonight to see how much progress the Nuggets have made in just 1 week. To help me with that, Brendan Votes in the house.
What's up, fellas? Yeah, I'm really excited for this one. Not because I necessarily expect the Nuggets to play well, but I'll tell you what happens if they do. We start feeling much better. This is a real measuring stick game. Yes, OKC looks like a wagon. I don't think I need to remind the ladies and fellas at home who the Wolves are, how last season ended. And also, this matchup has changed. The Wolves promptly abandoned their blueprint. So very excited, guys. Very excited for this game for a variety of reasons.
Indeed, a rivalry game. Deemed some bad blood. Superstar Dev's in the house.
I feel like Nuggets fans and just people in this space are anxious about this game because really, it's not just a measure stick. It's like a vibes one. If you keep this close, if you win the game, or if you show signs of life, you're like, okay, things are okay. This is a team that, eliminated the Nuggets last year, and now you're having an opportunity to prove themselves. So I think this is an anxious spot, and I'm excited for it. Another point is, you see this uncomfortable position right here. The reason that it's uncomfortable is because we are on a race to 100K subscribers right now, so make sure that you add that right now. Eric is gone and he is trapped until we get to 100K on another live stream. So make sure that you hit that like right now and then also subscribe.
Absolutely. Help us get there tonight. The sooner the better. Rivalry game here. Big one. It definitely is an interesting game in that the vibe swing tonight is so huge. You win it, the vibes are immaculate.
Huge.
You lose it, Nuggets Nation is going to panic once again. 2 wins in a row, but they were kind of, questionable wins against bad teams. So this is one to kind of show, all right, you got your stuff together. What are our game notes, Vote?
Well, let's start with injury reports and injury updates. You guys will remember that Aaron Gordon popped up on the injury report, not with that calf issue we heard about in the preseason. No, but with a right knee contusion. He is, though, available. Aaron Gordon will play in this game tonight against the Timberwolves in Minnesota. Out, Deron Holmes II, the Mile High Flyer, still ground-bound for now, and Vlatko Čančar, right ankle sprain. And Vlatko, I love you. This is tough, man. He pops up on the injury report a lot.
For not even without a game?
Right ankle sprain. Not sure how that happened, but it happened. So a little more of the same, unfortunately, from Vlatko's Nuggets tenure. He is out tonight. Not sure he would have been in the rotation either way, but he is out. On the Wolves side of things, they're healthy. Just the G League fellas on two-way and on assignment. That's Jalen Clark, Jesse Edwards, Leonard Miller. But the actual Timberwolves are ready to go in this one. And the Wolves start the season 2-2, fellas. I think of note to me, 5th in the NBA right now in made threes per game. 4 games in, but in made threes per game, the Wolves have made 16.5 threes per game so far. Anthony Edwards in particular seems to be getting them up. So that's something about the new look Wolves. And of course, 3-point volume is going to be something to look at in just about every Nuggets game played this season. So that's my biggest game note. The Wolves are getting threes up in abundance right now. We'll see how that manifests tonight.
What are you watching for tonight, Dev?
To see if they truly do respond or if there is an edge that the Nuggets come out with. Last year should put a bad taste in their mouths. So I want to see if that's something that they're going to get up for or if this is just another figure it out, fill it out type of game, which I just don't think that the Nuggets against a team like this has the opportunity to do. So I would like to see if they're going to play as hard as they should.
I mean, playing hard better be on the menu. But you are right. I will say, I think one of the worst nights in the NBA every single year is the day after Halloween. I think Halloween is the biggest NBA holiday. Players love Halloween. Yeah. Last night, I believe the Nuggets, I'm not certain of this, but I had heard that the Nuggets stayed in New York 2 nights and flew in this morning, which is very abnormal. That's one thing I'm worried about. Everybody goes hard at the NBA on Halloween night, and this is the hangover game.
I know, and you know what? There's just no room for that, right? Like, you cannot come out hungover in this game. I'm not saying they wouldn't, but if you do, there's just no excuses for that. That would be brutal. I would say, in addition to the sort of strategic elements of the way Minnesota guards Jokic, one of the ways that this matchup has changed the most for me since the Wolves really grew up and turned a corner is every single time they've played the Nuggets in the last 2 to 3 seasons, they have circled the game. They have said, we're going to win the intensity battle. We're going to win the athleticism battle. If it comes down to which one of these two teams looks like they want it more, it has been the Wolves a lot of the time. So, I hopefully, especially with the way last season ended, motivation, being prepared for this game, coming in and wanting it, that is the very last thing I want to be talking about in the lounge, win or lose.
Yeah. To me, I'm looking at the on-ball pressure. That's the Wolves really understood it. I mean, we know Tim Conley knows the Denver Nuggets' strengths and weaknesses. He was here for a lot of it. And last year, they won that series in large part by putting a lot of pressure on Jamal. They added to their stable of on-ball pressure defenders with Dante DiVincenzo. Denver didn't really add to their stable of ball handlers. I mean, you replace Reggie Jackson with Russell Westbrook, which I think in this exact instance is an upgrade because, he does handle the ball well. I don't think Russ is going to get tripped up with that pressure. In fact, he could punish you for some of that pressure. So that'll be interesting. Although the Wolves could also speed Russ up. Russ does I broke the first line of defense. Let's go to the second, third, and fourth.
Yeah.
So I am kind of curious to see how he handles that. But as a team, like Jamal, for me, so much of this year, the more I watch these games and kind of study the film, so much of it comes down to the effectiveness of Jamal. And tonight is a real test, as was night one, but tonight a real test of, all right, they smell blood in the water. They think they can really pressure and disrupt you in a way. And I'm so curious how he and the team handles that pressure.
Yeah, and it's going to be on him as it always is to respond to the negative critics, to all of the noise. And really, he's able to silence them in these type of games because it makes you remember how he is in these big-time games. This is an ESPN game where everybody's watching on a Friday night. If he plays well, if he responds in that way, people start to be a bit more quiet. And we saw this in even the Minnesota series when he went there to Minnesota in, I want to say, game 3 or game 4? Where he shut everybody up.
That's right.
Because he played so well. I think that this is a rare spot for Jamal to be able to get a lot of people off of his back. And that's playing well, that's knocking down his shot, that's moving in ways that he hasn't been able to. And I think that he'll be up to the challenge.
I'm less optimistic. I think this one might not be another. This game is one. I've told you guys, this season my expectations have been reset a little bit. It's a puzzle they're going to have to build piece by piece, and I just don't expect the Nuggets to be there, right now. That being said, they can still win games. I mean, every game can be competitive. Tonight, I think might be one of those ones where it's like, you know what, be competitive, fight, and I want to see what happens and give yourself a chance.
Agreed on everything you guys have said about Jamal, but this matchup has changed in one very important way. It is a very different matchup for Nikola Jokic. He is not going against Cat and Gobert and whatever, regardless of how you feel about either of them individually as defenders or players, the two of them was the NBA's best blueprint to slowing Jokic specifically. Probably could have still been overcome if Murray was ready to go and Porter thrived in that series. All the same, more than anyone else, the Wolves found a blueprint for beating Denver, and they promptly abandoned it. That's fascinating to me. Is this matchup easier for Jokic? And if it is, and how much so, and if it's a lot, does that kind of change the game for Murray as well, right? So this is a different matchup. I know it's not the playoffs, but I'm very eager to see how different Jokic's night goes against this team now.
Also, do they put Randall on Jokic? Do they put Gobert on Jokic? Do they put Randall? I'm curious for that matchup. Those matchups are all going to be pretty fascinating for sure. Let's move on now to just the general sense you get. The Nuggets lost the first 2 games. The second one, barely, just barely. And then they won 2, albeit against worse teams. Now they play a good one. So, Dev, are the Nuggets on the up? In your mind right now, do you feel like this has been a week of, linear progress?
Absolutely. And I think that when you're winning, that, makes everything else go away. You're not thinking about the negative. You're not, spending too much time thinking about what hasn't gone right because that's the object of the game is to win. And then also through that, you're starting to see them become a little bit more on the same page. You're starting to see things that are starting to stick and not stick. And they have Nikola Jokic, who's pretty much a computer. He's like putting this all in his head of like, this works, this doesn't work. And they will figure that out. So I love the fact that, one, like they're still relatively healthy, like to start out the year, but also they're winning ways and finding different ways to win. And you're going to need these close type of wins like later in the season. So I think that is something that you could just hold on to.
I'll hold off till they win this game. I think if they win this game,
that's why it's fun doing it before, because I thought maybe doing this afterwards, but I was like, after it'll be a lot easier to say.
Pretty obvious. It's going to be pretty obvious.
Know.
Yeah, I don't think it's great that they dug deep. It's great that they won those games. You can't start 0-4. The Raptors and the Nets should not be the bar, right? So they were right now. I get that. And Jokic went into we need win modes. We need wins mode. And I appreciated that. Again, though, not the bar. So they'd have to win this game before I say, all right, don't bury these guys yet, right? It's still early, but those are not good enough teams for me to feel like they figured it out. They did take steps in the right direction.
The Halloween part of this is so interesting because I do think one of the storylines for the Nuggets right now is their conditioning.
Yeah.
And I think that they're probably in much better shape after playing 4 straight games of 40 minutes, the starters at least, playing that many minutes. Peyton Watson getting healthier and, more acclimated. So I think that part is, probably true. But the Halloween part of this, I don't know if we're going to get a good, indication on that. But I think the Nuggets are on the up. The thing is, there's still some huge question marks I have. Jamal Murray is a big one. He is a big game player. I have a feeling Anthony Edwards is probably the #1 trash talker in the NBA. We know Jamal Murray likes trash talk, like gets him going. I hope tonight is contentious because the truth is, these teams shouldn't like each other. I'm not even just saying from like a divisional rivalry standpoint. I'm saying from like a respect standpoint. Gobert should hate Jokic. He murders him all the time. Jamal Murray should hate Anthony Edwards. Yep. He talked mad shit about him in pressers, after games, during the games, all this different stuff. This game should carry a lot of bad blood, and I hope they operate and act as such, and if so, we'll learn an awful. I think we're going to know way more about the Nuggets here in 3 hours than we do right now.
The Wolves are not your little brothers anymore. It's just they're not. They're not. They're ready for this fight, and if you walk into this thinking, it's my little brother, I'll just give him a noogie or something. You're going to lose this game.
Yeah.
So.
An ESPN article came out today. I don't know if you guys read it. Ramona Shelburne, who was in town during the preseason. I don't think she was here. Was she here opening night? She might have made it all the way through opening night, but she was here early.
I'm not sure about opening night.
But the article comes out, and it was really interesting. It in some ways reminds you of the Kevin Arnovitz article. I don't even know if you guys remember that from way back in 2014 or 15, where it was kind of a what's going on with the team, what's going on behind the scenes. And there was some stuff in there that I thought was really interesting. I'll give you a couple lines. First, Dev, Michael Porter Jr. has this quote: "If we don't win it this year, we all know they might have to break it up." That's not a sentence that had ever really been said in any Nugget season. You might make a move or here or there, but break it up is that's a big thing. That's a unique pressure, and it was interesting that he was the guy who said it.
I think that was the one that threw everyone off because, he had to be the only one that could say it. He's the only one without a contract right now.
Michael Porter, he still has 2 years, but...
Yeah, but, everyone else just re-upped.
I see.
But also, that was just something that we hadn't heard about or even thought about right now. I think that there's been I'll say war in a way of you having to choose between Malone or Booth or things like that, where you didn't think about the players and their aspect. And him saying that means that there has been conversation about it, or at least the idea. So I think that one was really shocking because of who it is, Michael Porter Jr., who is pretty open. He's a little bit more open than any other Nuggets player. So this is something that he has thought about before or has been said to him.
Yeah, that's just saying the quiet part out loud. We all knew it. No one wanted that train to leave the station early in terms of the narrative of what we're talking about. We want them to have this year. But I think everyone who tweets or talks about this into a microphone has prepared themselves for what it looks like if it doesn't go the way we want it to. And Porter in particular, that's good self-awareness, man. He would be up. He would be the next guy to go, I think. So I thought it was all fair and honest. But I understand that no fan wants to see that said out loud in the middle of the season.
I was surprised people took that quote and ran with it so much because to me, I just thought that was obvious.
Yeah, me too.
That's the thing. So people were like, "Oh my God, tear it down." I'm like, guys, what do you think is going to happen? This is Jokic in his prime. There's a sense of urgency. And absolutely. So to me, it is interesting, like you said, quiet part out loud. But more interesting to that was just the awareness. I think one of the things that's going on with the Nuggets this year that they've never really faced is the awareness of it all. That's always there. Players always know they could get traded or benched or any of that. But this year feels more like just it's on the front of your mind instead of the back of your mind, I think, for everybody. So that was an interesting quote there.
And consider if the extensions had loomed as well, right?
Would have been huge.
So that's just something to think about.
I also like this one that comes from Calvin Booth. I feel like winning the championship is a combination of experience and juice. A lot of the times, the younger guys have the juice. Calvin Booth, whatever you want to say about him, I know like he's not very popular right now amongst Nuggets fans, especially the online ones that watch this very show. One thing that's interesting about him, though, he at least explains his vision. Like, he's going with young guys. And some of this is, I think 90% of it is likely salary cap, or that's at least the excuse, right? Like, we have to go young for salary cap purposes. But I do think there's a part of this that's like, young guys do bring energy for 82 games, and they need to get that out of young guys. I don't know if the Nuggets are necessarily getting that. Christian Brown, absolutely. He's bringing the juice. But I think at least it's interesting to hear him say that's one of the motivations for this.
I think that was one of the times that I feel like that there was a knock at Michael Malone and like how he's handled things. Is talking about the young guys, and him not playing the young guys is why they didn't have that juice, in the playoff series against Minnesota. So like this was like, I feel like one of the early jabs to let you know of like, hey, here goes my vision. This is why I have been making a push to go after those younger guys. But also, if you don't have those younger guys and if they're not on the floor, then you're not getting that juice. I think we have the experience. I think we have the skill and, the talents, but you're going to need a mixture of both. So I'm trying to give you a core, which, they re-upped on, the core. But also, like, now what about the young guys and bringing those in? So I feel like this was more of like a jab to see, like, how are you going to counter this one?
I also think it's just worth understanding, if it's not blatant already, that Booth believes this. So I think from a fan perspective, you might go, is it really about buying into the young guys, or is it about being cheap as an organization? That may be a convenient veil for ownership to hide behind. It's also true. This is how Booth views the situation, right? He thinks the young guys need to play. This is not just an excuse to not pay KCP. I think this is how Calvin Booth thinks it should work under the current CBA. So I just think that part is worth understanding. Ownership may well be cheap, but I almost think that's independent from how Calvin views this dynamic.
But I just think the juice part of this, like the Nuggets are I worry they're a little juiceless. They've been together for a long time. The core, like you do sometimes need energy. And I just look at that and I go, that was Peyton Watson ramps up towards playing more and being a bigger contributor. To me, the juice is almost most of what they need.
And I also think, you don't want your starters to have to carry you through an 82-game season. Also, I think a lot of vets are famous for picking their spots.
Yeah.
Jeff Green in particular, man. Really picked his spots. There were some nights where we didn't notice him at all. So somewhere in that equation, there needs to be guys like Christian Brown who say, I can't get enough. Play me 100 minutes,
I think the conversation around the Nuggets is kind of funny because it's our job. We talk about them every day. But to me, 90% of this, maybe not 90, 70% of this really is just, for me, is Jamal Murray. And there was a quote in the article from a rival executive that says the only way they are going to win is if Murray is really good. Jokic is the best player in the world, but they're going to run him into the ground if he keeps playing this much. And I just, to me, I love talking about Peyton Watson and Christian Brown and this guy. Do they play this guy in the margin? But the truth is, Jamal Murray at his best is awesome. And that to me is simple. And it's funny that they asked a rival exec, what do you think of the Nuggets? And his answer was basically not any of that other stuff. It was, if Murray's good, then yeah.
I think that's also positive. That's what we all think. That's what everybody thinks about the Nuggets. And that's why we continue to say that the Nuggets go as, Jamal goes.
Right.
That wasn't, you didn't need a anonymous person to say. Everybody thinks the same thing, but it also goes to show like how good this team really is and how they are not as far as the right now, all the noise right now is saying. Because really they're a guy away, which is, Jamal, and I think that he's going to be able to get there. He has all year to prove it. If he's able to stay healthy, if he's able to stay competitive, they have the right pieces to be able to, win another one or at least compete for another one.
Yeah, I think if you wanted to take the angle that perceived failures in the margins make it harder to maximize Murray and Jokic, and that's all fair. But yeah, it's the funny thing about this article is that I just thought it was a presentation on the national level of a lot of things that have been echoed and well understood locally. And that's not to say that Ramona had no business writing it. She presented it nationally, but, oh, Murray needs to get better. People are kind of worried. Any Nuggets fan who's locked in knew that. Oh, there is a disconnect between Booth and Malone. How big is it? But it exists. Okay, Nuggets fans knew that. Yes, Booth has publicly angled to give his perspective and make it look a little better. I think Nuggets fans already knew that, right? So locally, I don't think any of this is brand new. But now nationally, everyone gets to do what's very easy to do, what I do all the time for other teams that I don't cover and watch so closely. Oh, they've got a little bit of drama. You just go, what's going on over there?
Yeah.
It's not, but when 100,000 people go, ooh, what's going on over there? It takes on a volume and a level of drama that we're not used to in Denver. This is what happens to teams in LA. This is what happens to teams with stars like Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. We're not used to it in Denver. And so that part is new and different, the way the drama seems to have spilled out onto a national stage.
Two more things I want to get to here real quick, or three more things, but I'll just have to move quickly here. Calvin Booth says the other part of the Christian and Peyton equation is I always saw those two matching up with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I love that line. Part of me goes like, I wish we were thinking that way right now, because I think Nuggets fans, the expectation is like, we got to get there first.
Yeah.
But you kind of sit there and go, I guess that makes kind of sense physically, right? You have the stout Christian Brown, the longer, rangy Peyton Watson. I thought that one was interesting. He also, another thing that was really fascinating, Christian Brown talking about Nikola Jokic when he says he'll call to check on you, talk shit, or just have a funny conversation. I don't think he disengages with the world in the offseason the way people say.
Yep.
I think he's working his butt off because he always comes back here and he's just in as good a shape every single year. But I love this notion that Jokic goes to Serbia, turns off his phone, doesn't hear from anyone. And Christian's like, no, he's calling to just talk sometimes, just to check in. Jokic is more perfect than we even lead on sometimes.
Perfect. And also, these are the people that are closest to him and around him. And I think a lot of times people get caught up in what other people are saying.
Yeah.
The jokes like kind of write themselves.
Right.
Right. But also like right now, like there was a lot of questions about leadership. This is him calling a younger guy on the team that is trying to find his way in this league. Also around the starters, and he's like giving his perception of what type of leader he is. This is a guy that we question like how much he truly wants it, if he's going to retire early, all these other like lazy takes. But then you hear his teammates saying how hard he works, what he's doing in the offseason, what he comes back into training camp and looks like. And these are people like Christian Brown is the hardest working player on the team. Everybody has said that. He is now talking about the leader on the team, the best player on the team, and the like different ways that he's able to do it. So I love that Christian gave us this bit right here, like just this little small piece.
And the last piece of it was that Ramona said that Booth will be the chief architect of whatever comes next, as the Nuggets have for months been speaking to him about a contract extension. Multiple sources said, and a deal is expected soon. So a lot of people wondering, is Booth on the way out or not? At least the early report is that a extension is on the way. So
yeah, I would also say I think there's a lot of perception of this public jockeying for the Kroenke's ear and ownership's kind of perspective on if they had to choose one, who do they stick with going forward? I think with regards to the front office, the ownership has a pretty clear MO. They hit on Masai. He got expensive. They let him go. They hit on Tim. He got expensive. They let him go. My guess is that Calvin's not that expensive right now.
No,
and if there were an arms race for Calvin, they'd let him go. So we can talk about like,
so true, man.
I don't really think it's ownership is buying into there's two things that probably go into their calculus more than anything else. What does Jokic think, and how expensive is this?
I think you had that in the wrong order, but yes, I think that
you're very correct. Thank you for swapping that. You're right.
Oh, man, how fun is that? Our pregame picks are presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app and use code DNVR365. Deposit $10 and place a bet of $5 to get $200 in bonus bets and a code to get the first 2 months of Altitude Plus, courtesy of Bet365. Must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Dev, take it away.
The Nuggets come into this game as 3.5-point underdogs. But the good thing is it's on the road. So you have to take that into account. This is as close as like a pick 'em as possible, and I love that, especially with everyone watching. This was a series that was like a really good series. When Game 7, with a comeback effort, like
maybe the best series in the playoffs.
There's going to be a lot of attention on this game, so I love the fact that this is really close. I'm going to go with Nuggets plus 3.5.
Are you just saying this for the show?
It's about responding, man. It's about responding, and I like the way that Nuggets are set up.
We taking this?
We're taking this plus 3.5. I'm going to go with the under 219.5. I just think that these two teams are comfortable with each other, but also this is going to be a lot different than last year. Those are low-scoring games in the playoffs. Now it's even more of like trying to figure each other out because both teams look different. How are they going to be able to guard Jokic? Jokic's going to take his first quarter, maybe two, to figure out like what are they going to do, because I think that he is trying to compute what's happening for later on or in the playoffs and things like that. So I'm going to go with the under in this one. On Minnesota side of things, you already know what the bet is. Bet the house on
Anthony
Edwards points. He's taking 20 shots a game
he
right
is.
now.
26.5 points.
More threes than twos.
More threes than twos, and he knocked down 7 3-pointers last game. He had like 6 in like the first quarter. Like he can get hot and score, but also he is shooting the ball, and that's a lot different. I also think that he's going to take that matchup with Christian Brown. I mean, if there's one guy that's disrespectful or feels disrespected, it is Anthony Edwards. He's going to go at Christian Brown and like make him prove himself. So I hope that he's up for that. Let's go under 20.5 points for Julius Randle.
Really?
Yeah, he's just too inconsistent for me. And then also, I think that Aaron Gordon just matches up with him well.
I'll bet that because it's a vibes bet.
I mean, like they're the same size. Aaron Gordon is not going to let him just push him over.
He's so strong though, man. Julius Randle, pound for pound, is the strongest.
So like they're going to be able to match each other. I think that that's an under.
It's a great matchup though. I'm excited for that matchup.
It's a fun under too.
It's a fun under. I'm on. I'm on it. I'm on it. All right, you talked me into it.
Nuggets.
By the way, we're winning some money this year. I never know till I open it on this segment. We're winning some money this year.
Of course, we're making money. On the Nuggets side of things, I'm going to go with 1 3-pointer by Christian Brown.
You like that one, huh?
I think Minnesota is one of the teams that are going to scheme for them, and also they're going to like try to prove like we're not going to show you too much, but we want to see if Christian Brown's going to be able to shoot against us. Okay. So he's going to have a few more opportunities. I would go to the over on Christian Brown points. They're going to let him shoot a few shots. They are going to double. That's just what they're going to do. So he's going to be the person that can get open, can't get loose. This is also a measuring stick game for him defensively. So I think that this should be a lot of Christian Brown. I feel like this game is about giving effort. The early games have been about effort, shape, trying to work yourself through things for Jamal. This one is going to be about I have to prove myself against a team that I felt like I might have lost the narrative. So I'm going to go with over 18.5 points for Jamal Murray.
Man, I'm betting it on vibes, but I don't feel it. But I'm betting it on vibes, Dev.
He has to score. He has to try to score. He has to stay aggressive. I think we're going to see him take a lot of shots, especially early on. 18.5 points, I think he'll be able to get it. Okay. And also try to match up against them. I feel like this is how this is an Aaron Gordon games. He finally has an assignment that matches up with him on his size. That means he'll compete a little bit harder on boards. As we know, Julius Randle, he will miss some shots. He's going to take some shots. He's going to miss some shots. That's more rebounding opportunities. They're going to run the offense through Aaron Gordon at times to try to free up Jokic. So, like, points, rebounds, and assists. 21.5 is too low.
Really?
He can score. He can rebound.
I love this bet.
This is like a little bit of everything. I really do like this bet.
You mentioned hustle in there, too, and I think Gordon will probably have the opportunity to kill Randle in transition, to just work harder in that spot.
I like it. I'm
going to go over 1.5 steals and blocks for Christian Brown. I think he gets it done. Yeah, this is like the honest defense game. Last game, he was like a little bit undisciplined.
Really?
Yeah, I think that this is a game you have to be. I think he gets a couple of steals. I think he gets a couple of blocks. He shoots it so much that you get more opportunities to try things. And for the lock is going to be Jokic, of course. Over 19.5 rebounds plus assists.
Rebounds plus assists? I didn't know which direction you were going to go.
Rebounds plus assists. Rudy Gobert is going to make him have to rebound a bit more.
Really?
Get out and run a bit more. I think that they're going to send a lot more doubles, so you want to get insurance with the assist there. I just think that this is a game that we're going to see a little bit of everything from Jokic. Points, rebounds, and assists. I like the rebounds and assists.
You said lock?
It's the lock.
It's a lock. All right, I'm going with it, man. That does it. ESPN still wrapping up. 2 minutes left in that Cleveland game, but that does it. We have any super chats, Cal?
Yeah. $50.
Oh, pick it up. Let's go.
$50 from Otis Page. Gordon and Porter need to learn Tim Duncan's high post game. Bank off the backboard.
It was a pretty game, man. Gordon, AG in particular. I don't know about Porter, but AG, I would not mind a little bank game to him.
I would say I don't think Porter develops Tim Duncan's high post game, if I had to guess, but it is good advice. Cedric Exquisite, wearing my Yoke jersey, get Eric on. Ha ha. Denver 108, Minnesota 99.
That'd be a vibes one for sure.
Pop over to the other stream. We're going to do it kind of like...
Are you on a mic?
No.
Pop on over to the other stream. We're going to do it like a watch-along as we're trying to get to 100,000. If tonight's the night, man, the bar is full. It would be an awful lot of fun if we got to 100,000 subscribers tonight. I might buy a whole bottle of Rakia for everyone in the bar if we hit that one tonight. So go on over there. We'll be down there popping in and out. Hit the like button on the way out.
We all silly like the mayor.